Everyone awake? Get fired up. All right, I got a very important topic I want to talk about today. I want to talk about love. Not that kind of love. Not the kind of love between a man and a woman. Not the kind of love between a man and a man. Not the kind of love between a man and his therapy dog. The kind of love, the kind of love between an employee and a company. A different kind of love, a different kind of culture. I want to talk about inbound culture. I want to talk about creating a new type of culture that really matches the way modern humans work and creates insanely happy employees, creates employees that love their jobs. How's that sound? All right. What the flock is culture anyway? How is culture touchy-feely crap like that? Well, it's hard to define, but I kind of think of culture as like it's the unwritten rules within a company of how employees should behave and interact and make decisions when the boss isn't around. Okay, does that make sense? How you decide when the boss isn't around. That's sort of what culture is about. Well, why does culture matter? Who cares? Who cares about this thing? They don't teach about culture in business school. Why the hell is Halligan talking about it? Well, it's very underrated, it turns out. Here's how I think about it. If you've got a great product, right? You got a brilliant product. That product's like a magnet that pulls in customers, right? If you've got a great culture, that's like a magnet that pulls in great employees. Now, what happens inside of companies is quite interesting. Companies spend a lot of time and energy and a lot of brain power thinking about the product. How do we make the product better? How do we make the service better? How do we really innovate there? But companies today are really stuck in the 90s when it comes to their corporate culture, how they lead their employees, the interaction between the employees and management, the way the company and the employees' relationship is set up. I think companies need to rethink their culture to match the way modern humans actually live and work. Everybody with me so far? Yeah. All right. Okay. I want to tell a story about these three folks. This is the very famous guy on the left here, the older guy. Does anyone know who he is? That's my dad. It's me in the middle. Anyone know who the girl on the right is? Oh, people know Caroline. So my niece Caroline is why I'm here. She's a sophomore at UMass. Go Minutemen, go. Okay. The reason I've got these three up there is my dad, well, he's a baby boomer. I'm a Gen Xer, and Caroline and most of you are millennials, okay? Let's just talk a little bit about the differences in the way sort of the three generations kind of work and live and spend their time. So I think about my dad. And my dad, we grew up around here, so we had 6 television stations growing up that he watched. We had channel 2, 4, 5, 7, 38, 56, okay? I just think about myself, and if you get the rabbit ears right, you could get channel 44. I have 1,000 television stations. I have Netflix, I have an Apple TV, I have YouTube. I have an infinite number of television stations. My dad talked on the phone. That was his main tool sort of doing business. And I have an iPhone, but the least favorite application, the application I use the least on here, is the really crappy green one with the phone on it. It's just the worst app on my phone. It's terrible. My dad got a lot of mail. Right? Every night he went through a big pile of mail. I actually read it. And I think of myself, and I look at my mail once a quarter. So the mail will pile up downstairs in my building, and they'll drop it outside my door. But for me, I'm in Twitter all the time. I'm in LinkedIn. I'm in Google. I'm in Gmail. It's just a radical difference. It's like a tear in the fabric of work, the way work happens between my dad and myself. Well, let's talk about Caroline and sort of the millennial generation. And truth be told, I don't know exactly how Caroline works and lives. But here's how I think about it. So the millennial generation is sort of like this. In this hand, you've got your computer, and you're working on your computer, and there's 16 windows open. You've got your browser open, and there's 400 tabs open on your browser. You're typing like this. In this hand, you're texting with your friends on your iPhone. All right, same time, doing both. And then you're playing a video game, Dance Dance Revolution, at the same time. That's the millennials. It's the broadband revolution. And it's just a radical change in the way humans live and work. And the problem is most companies, I would say most companies, their cultures match the Gen Xers. Many companies match the baby boomers like my dad. almost none match the modern generation. I think there's just such a radical change between these generations that companies need to completely rethink their cultures, completely need to think work to match the way modern humans shop and learn. Okay. So let's dig in. There's some differences between the different generations that I think are fascinating. And I've got some suggestions for modern companies on how to attract and how to motivate employees like you folks, the Gen Yers. And so the 1970 generations like my dad, 1990s like myself, and 2010s like you folks. And the mantra for my dad's generation was management. There's a guy named Peter Drucker, and he was all management science. And that was sort of the mantra everyone followed. My generation, everyone read Good to Great. And the guy who wrote Good to Great, he was sort of the leadership guy. It was all about leadership. I think today it's very different. I think these modern workers, it's not about money, it's about mission. It's a very different, they care about the mission, they want to be inspired. So let's just say that your mission in your company today is this year, we want to increase margins by 5%. And we want to do that by gouging our customers or gouging the planet. That is not an inspirational message. That will not get you new employees. That will not motivate these Gen Yers. So you need a mission that will inspire. I think the modern employees care much more about mission than money. You need to rethink your mission. You need to have an inspirational mission. You need to do more than the bottom line to attract and motivate and retain these new employees. People with me? All right. Desire. So my dad, he grew up in the shadow of the Great Depression. Very long, dark shadow. And so that generation was sort of motivated by the pension. How do we have a stable salary for the rest of our lives? How do we have a very stable situation? My generation, I think, was very much about your salary and how do you move up the ladder, sort of corporate ladder. I think new people, the new people I work with today, the young folks, the modern workers, it's about learning. They want to learn. They don't care about moving up the ladder. They want to move around. They want to learn as much as they can. They're like sponges to learn. They have this unquenchable thirst for mentorship and learning. So if I were a modern company and I wanted to attract these employees and I wanted to motivate them and retain them, I would rethink the way you give feedback to employees. So most companies, the way they do feedback is your manager on January 1st initiates a 360-degree review for the employee. And that's an annual thing. I think that's just dead wrong. The new way that you should give feedback to your employees is that it should be employee initiated. It should be done at any ad hoc time. So if an employee today wants feedback once a week, they should be able to press a button, invite 5 people in to give them real-time feedback. Younger people today, modern workers, want constant feedback, want to get better, and want to learn. You have to create a sort of learning organization today. Okay, mentality. So if I were to assign a mental condition, that's right. My dad's obsessive compulsive. I'm very emblematic of my generation with my own anxiety issues, and Caroline is actually quite emblematic of her generation with ADD type issues. And I think the ADD you can take advantage of. So a lot of companies think that is bad. I think it's great. So what I would do if I were running a modern company that wanted to attract modern employees, that wanted to really motivate these employees, was I would measure something different, something new, and make it a very important metric. So for example, at my company, we have 500 employees, and every quarter we measure how many of those employees got a new job within the company in the last quarter. And so for HubSpot, there were 50 employees in the last quarter that get a new job. I don't know if that's right, it's high, it's low, feels right-ish, and if it was 10, I would think, well, they're not moving around enough, they're not learning enough, and eventually we're going to start losing some of these smart people. These young Gen Yers, they want to learn. They have ADD, they want new jobs, new challenges, they're very entrepreneurial. You have to sort of change your culture to match the way that works. Hours. I got a story for you on hours. When we were first starting HubSpot 6 years ago, I had a great young employee, and we had a big project we were trying to get done for Monday, and we started working it on Friday. We didn't finish. We worked the whole weekend, not in the office, but we were working back and forth online. And he worked the whole weekend with me on this project, and he did a great job. And then he came in on Monday morning, and he did something very interesting. He said, you know, Brian, I want to take Friday off to go visit my girlfriend down in Philly. Cool. It's like, sign my vacation thing. So I got the vacation form Friday and signing it. And as I'm signing, I'm thinking, that's strange. He's asking for Friday off where's the credit form for all the work he did on Saturday and Sunday? This is ridiculous. And then I thought, you know, the whole concept of vacation and vacation policies and the paperwork around it, that's just ludicrous. People are their work, unfortunately, people's work and personal lives are completely intertwined today. And we tell our employees to relax on vacation, but they bring their iPhone, their iPad, and they're working. And life and work have sort of combined in a way that didn't happen in my father's generation. So I think what companies today should do is throw out their vacation policy. Take vacation whenever the hell you want. Don't tell us when you're taking vacation, because that blend between work and play, unfortunately, has really changed quite a bit. So get out of the 90s, get in the 2013s. Okay. Workplace. My dad's era, everyone had an office. And if you were a big shot, you had a corner office. In my era, it was this open sea of gray or beige cubicles, life-sucking cubicles. Living Dilbert cartoon. And I think the office is not a place, the office is an idea. And so you shouldn't make your companies come at any given hours. Work whenever the heck you want. We know you're working at night. We know you're working the weekends. We know you're working early. You're married. You got kids. You want to work at home sometimes. Enable your employees to work wherever they want, whenever they want. They'll give you their best if you give them the flexibility and freedom. Okay. Tenure. In my dad's generation, they worked at the same company their whole career. It's fascinating. And this is just very recent history that happened. My generation, on average, is 6 to 7 years they spend in an average company. The Gen Yers, the millennials, it's about 18 months. And here's what happens. So all my buddies who run companies are constantly bitching and moaning about the millennials. Oh, I don't want to hire any of the millennials. They're complaining all the time. They always want a new job. They want feedback all the time. They've got it all wrong. They've got it all wrong. Everyone says the millennial generation is the worst generation to hire. I think when the history books are written, the millennials are going to be the best generation ever. The millennials are smarter. They grew up with broadband. They know how to find stuff. They know how to collaborate. They know how to get stuff done much better than my generation. So what I say is you need to transform your HR policies, transform your culture, transform your leadership and your management to match and accommodate and attract the millennials, attract these modern employees, and you will receive the benefits. I think 18 months in my company, it's very long. If you can properly motivate the millennials, they'll stay for a very long period of time and be very, very happy, very productive employees. Okay. These are sort of the touchstones for me of the different generations. I'm a big fan of Jack Welch's. That's Jeff Bezos from Amazon. And that's Mark Zuckerberg, and I think he really gets it. He really gets this new type of culture, inbound culture. And the reason I think he gets it is there's a new site called Glassdoor. It's a fantastic site. And here's how I think of Glassdoor. Yelp is to restaurants as Glassdoor is to companies. So you go to Yelp and you fill out a restaurant review. You go to Glassdoor if you're an employee and review your employer, review your CEO, actually. And when they add up all the tallies and all the reviews and all the companies, Facebook kills everybody. They're way out in front, and Zuckerberg's the #1 CEO. And Facebook's had an up and down year, but they're still #1. I think Zuckerberg gets it. I think Zuckerberg's rethought culture from first principles. Zuckerberg doesn't have any of the baggage of working at a regular company stuck in the 90s, so he rethought it from scratch. And I think all companies need to sort of follow Facebook's lead, rethink culture from scratch. Okay, so why does this matter? It turns out, I was surprised to see this when I saw the data, millennials are the largest part of the workforce today, more than Gen X and more than the baby boomers. And it turns out they're a big chunk of the working population and obviously going to grow over time. And it's not only that, there's OWGs. People know what OWG is? Old white guys. Old white guys like me. Old white guys like you. We're starting to act like millennials. You know, we're starting to do the dance and the thing, you know, we're starting to do it. We're starting to get it. So everyone's sort of following the millennials. So companies need to really rethink the way they run their businesses, the way they rethink their culture to match the way modern humans work and live and love. Thank you very much.